It was the absolute peak of the 1982 Houston oil boom. But what happened inside the Bank of the Southwest remains completely unexplained. Over $15 million practically vanished into thin air from an impenetrable underground vault. No alarms triggered. There were no blown vault doors, no trace of heavy machinery. Just an empty room and one chilling clue left behind. How did a ghost crew of unknown thieves pull off the perfect bank heist right under the city's nose? And the most important question of all, where is the money sitting today? Let's dig in. From shattered glass to empty vaults, we're breaking down the most notorious heists in American history. Like, comment, and subscribe. Now, let's crack the case. Welcome to 1980s Houston, Texas. The city was practically drowning in oil money, and skyscrapers were clawing at the clouds. At the very center of this financial explosion was the Bank of the Southwest, housing millions in untraceable cash. The bank's main vault was considered an absolute fortress. We're talking 2-foot thick, solid steel and seismic detectors. It was guarded by round-the-clock armed security. Experts claimed it was mathematically impossible to breach. A frontal assault would have alerted half the Houston Police Department within 60 seconds of a breach. But a local crew of disgruntled oilfield roughnecks didn't care about the front door. They cared about what was underneath. They knew a secret the bankers didn't. Houston's labyrinth of massive concrete storm drains ran directly beneath the financial district. The banks thought the threat would come from the street. They never once thought to look down. The crew spent months mapping the subterranean tunnels, wading through waist-deep water in the sweltering Texas heat. Using heavy-duty commercial drilling gear stolen from a local oil rig, they began to bore through the bedrock. They had to perfectly time every single strike of their drill with the rumble of the freight trains above ground. One wrong move, and they'd hit a high-pressure city water main, drowning the entire crew in seconds. The stress was unimaginable. The tunnel was only 3 feet wide, pitch black, and suffocatingly hot. On the night of the heist, a torrential Houston thunderstorm rolled in, flooding the tunnels faster than anticipated. The water level was rising inches by the minute. It was a literal do-or-die situation for the roughnecks. The massive thunderclaps drowned out their final push through the concrete. They hit the underside of the vault at exactly 2 a.m. Now came the absolute hardest part of the plan. The crew's point man used a custom-rigged liquid nitrogen system to instantly freeze the vault's seismic sensors. This rendered the security systems completely blind. Slowly, they torched a perfect square through the steel floor. Suddenly, right above their heads, the heavy footsteps of the night guard echoed across the vault room floor. The thieves held their breath, completely motionless in the dark, cramped tunnel as the guard paused directly above them. Seconds felt like hours, but then the footsteps faded away. The guard suspected absolutely nothing. The crew squeezed through the jagged hole in the floor, stepping into a literal sea of stacked $100 bills. They were finally inside the belly of the beast. But getting the money out would be the true test. They had exactly 4 hours before the morning shift arrived. Every single second was a race against the clock. The crew loaded thick canvas bags until their hands bled, shoving over $15 million down into the dark tunnel. By 5:45 a.m., they had patched the hole in the floor with a pre-cut steel plate, perfectly camouflaged. They painted the seams to seamlessly match the industrial vault floor, wiping away every single footprint. When the bank manager opened the heavy vault doors at 8 a.m., everything looked completely, utterly normal. In fact, it took the bank 3 full days to realize the deepest section of the vault had been completely emptied out. The police tore the city apart, but the crew had already vanished back into the storm drains, never to be seen again. And what about that single chilling clue I mentioned at the start of the video? Resting perfectly in the center of the vault floor was a single, heavily rusted oilfield drill bit. It was a mocking signature from the ghosts who robbed the most secure bank in Texas. To this day, not a single dollar of the Houston Bank of the Southwest heist has ever been recovered. The Bank of the Southwest heist remains one of the most brilliant, perfectly executed, and entirely unsolved crimes in American history. But what do you think? Was this just a crew of local roughnecks, or did they have an inside man feeding them the blueprints? Let me know in the comments below. If you want more deep dives into the greatest unsolved heists and mysteries, hit that subscribe button right now. But if you thought this underground breach was insane, wait until you see how a different crew robbed the unbreakable Denver Mint. I'll see you there.